it's all in etch now. So the next job will be to put the scoop onto that and bond it on. But I'll get the boot ready at the same time and do it too. Lined it up on the car and marked where it's got to go. There's not many options really for it. There is these spots here to screw down into, which it looks like someone else has done at some other point in time. So we'll see what we can do with that. Line it up, drill some holes through that. Obviously it looks like it's near the front on here, so it'll be up around here somewhere. Which you need to be careful with because there's a double panel inside there. Just have to try and figure out where the holes can go with and miss all that stuff still. Might even be down through there. Who knows? I'll figure something out. So the first thing I've done is marked out where all those pads are on the back and then transferred that to the boot itself so that I can see exactly what sort of area I've got to play with, be able to put some screws through. For these ones here, there's a little bit of room in there. I think we should be able to get one through there on each side. And also the rubber boot seal sits in there, so I might be able to get one down through there because that falls in one of the zones, and one up here further on each side. So that's what I'll aim for and see how it goes. Okay, we've got the first two screws in there. Went okay. It looks like I'll be able to get another one down in there. And likewise, just down in there. I'm just eyeballing it across the bottom. There's room for another one in there and in there. So that, along with the bonding the front edge along, should work okay. Just looking at it, it's flush on there. These little notches are so that that edge there sits higher than the guard, so it doesn't rub on the guard. And that notch is there right in the corner. So fairly flush there, bit of a gap there, touching there, a bit of a bigger gap through there, and then touching again on there. So get a bit of sealant filler in there and it'll all come out in the wash. Rightio, so we've got a trial fitting of the boot now after I've done all the work on the inside and tidied it up. I had originally put the spoiler on just by pushing it as far forward as I could get it, i.e. touching the boot on both sides at the back. And lucky I've checked it because it was nowhere near straight. It stood out quite noticeably when I put it back on the car. So what I've done now, I figured that this front left side was about right where it needed to be. So I've measured that distance back there on this side and made it the same on this side. And that also lines up the spoiler nicely with the trim that's behind it, so I know it's on in the right spot. But that mark there was the first one where I had it, so you can see it matches up a lot better on that side, and then it slowly and slowly gets worse and worse on this side. It is, I'm pretty sure it's a second-hand spoiler because there are screw holes up through it to start with, so They're all nice, and actually touching can't really go any further forward there on this side before it starts lifting. And as we slowly go across to the other side, the gap becomes quite noticeable. What I did to check that is I ran a pencil line by holding this pencil flush against the underside of the spoiler all the way across, and the resulting line that's there is actually fairly constant the whole way across, so I know the spoiler's in the right spot. It's just going to need to have a little bit of fixing done to it first. Apart from that, the boot seems to line up fairly well. The gaps aren't too bad. Gap on this side's pretty good. And the gap on this side is pretty good as well, and it lines up, so. Now it looks like there's a bit of work to do on the spoiler yet to come. The first part I'll be working on is these edges. I've just marked a line there which is pretty straight along with the edge of that. That needs to be knocked off a bit, otherwise these things are forever rubbing the paint off there. So I've done both of these edges now and they're all pretty straight, and it's about ready to tackle the gap along the back. What I've quickly done first is I'm actually going to bond this on and probably seal around it, and I kind of figured that it would make a pretty efficient bathtub if it was parked out in the rain for a while. So what I've done in the corner, you'll see when I take this off, I haven't actually done it yet, they're just stuck there. There's some stainless steel brake line that I'll run as a drain. It'll come out there. That'll actually be underneath the spoiler when it's finished. One of the main reasons I want to seal that totally to the boot, is if you get water running down here, and I didn't do anything with those holes, you get water coming in there, you can always build up around them a little bit. This way I can totally seal around it. Water will be able to come out down through there. Should be fairly easy to clean if it ever got stuff in it. Put this big wire up there or something. So what I'll do is I'll bond these to the boot first, and then put the spoiler on. Okay, so I've got these drains held on just with a bit of this knead it type putty, which I'll do. I'll come back and put some other sealant around them later on. Not that it really needs it there because it'll all be inside the spoiler. But the boot's ready to come off, so I can fill this gap along here between there and the spoiler. But I'm pretty happy with all the gaps in that now. It all sits pretty good. About the only issue, this side sits pretty good up until about here, then it drops away, so probably have to do a bit of filler work around here. And this across here needs a lot of work anyway. It's just a replacement panel, so the edge on there isn't very well defined, and it's down a fair way down in there. But what I'll do first, apart from opening the boot with the common key used to open many Commodore boot in the past, is I'll just drill a couple of 3mm holes in there so that we can locate this again when it's off. Do the same on this side as well. That way you just go and line up the pins straight away, you don't have to worry about figuring out where everything is. Right, we've got the boot outside here now, and that's the line along there where the spoil is eventually going to come to. And because I'm going to fiberglass directly on the boot, obviously don't want it to stick to the boot, so I'm going to run some tape and then some mould release. So hopefully the fiberglass won't go any further up the back than that. Got another one down there as well. Now the mould release stuff I've got is this PVA. It's polyvinyl alcohol. It's not like the glue that you use for timber. It can only go on fairly thin, but it is water soluble, so if you need to get it off, you just soak it in water and it disappears. And it's very hard to see that it's even going on because it's going on so lightly, but you've got to make sure it dries first, otherwise it runs very easily. And it sort of forms a skin like cling wrap. Just stops the fiberglass from gluing itself to everything. It seems to keep for a while too. That bottle there would have to be at least 15-year-old. Just buy it from a fiberglass supply place. So pretty much all I want to do from this side is just to fill up that gap with a single layer of fiberglass sheet. Then I'll let that dry out and take the spoiler off the boot again and then work at it from the other side just to give it a bit more thickness to it. And when I was sanding that before, from there down I was sanding it a bit thicker than across here, so there should be a little bit of a thickness there for me to build up to. I want to get all that fiberglass in there, wet it out, but don't particularly want to push it into that hole too much. Let's fill the gap anyway. It's created something for me to put some filler up against anyway. Oh yeah, we'll let that go off and get on with something else. Might be able to work it again this afternoon or maybe tomorrow morning. And this, now it's all dry, you can see that we're still short of the mark there, which is that line. So what I'm going to do is mix up some fiberglass and some Q cells and just use it like a filler all the way along there to bring that back up to where it should be. Right, we'll switch our focus back to the bonnet for a while that fiberglass on the boot's drying. So I saw a couple little dings here when I was painting it the other day, so I think I'll fix them up now before I go putting the undercoat on and get that out of the way. Righto, with this one I'll start with 120 grit, which shouldn't take me too long, and then switch to 180 when I'm almost at where I'm going. There was a bit of a dent through here, and then a couple closer to the edge there, I think, if I remember correctly. Probably a bit hard to see, there's a hollow between there where that line goes up. A little bit of a groove left there. I don't know if I want to go chasing that or whether I should just put a little bit more filler in that, which is what I might do. See, that's where one of those dents was. Another little bit just there. I'll do for the 120. Let's get rid of that scratch. You can sort of see where that other imperfection was there. Now it's starting to get dark through there. So that'll do for that. Have a quick check for any little pinholes, which when it goes on that pin you usually don't get any.